All right, guys, let's get started in the next lesson here. We're going to keep narrowing that buy box. I don't want you to get distracted looking at everything. So I'm going to walk through in a little bit more detail that buy box. What we've done so far has been sort of the 10,000 foot view, and I want you to keep narrowing it and getting more comfortable with an area because that comfort is going to give you the confidence to take action and actually purchase a property. I don't want you to be distracted because I get so many clients and friends who bring me deals and they're frozen because they're looking at a short-term rental and then they're looking at a 2-bedroom in a certain zip code and they're looking at a 3-bedroom in a out of state and they're like, which one should I buy? And I say it doesn't matter which one is your buy box because you can make money a million different ways in real estate. You can make $1 million in a million different ways. And so it doesn't mean that one's better than the rest. It's just which one are you sort of excited about? Which one do you feel the most familiar with? And I'm going to help you create that confidence by narrowing this buy box, really hammering in what are you looking for so that you're not distracted by all the noise of every other opportunity and this opportunity and that opportunity. And then you just sort of are dizzy and you don't buy anything. Okay. So I've been there. We've all been there. A million people. That's where everyone starts. So it's very normal. So don't beat yourself up, but I'm just going to give you some more tools to help you narrow that focus. So let's finalize that buy box. As always, it starts with your strategy. This is, do you want to be a long-term rental landlord? You buy property, hold it long-term, you lease it 12 months out of the year. That is what a long-term landlord is. That's what I'm teaching you in this class. If you want to be a short-term rental, then do the Airbnbs. We have a House Money Media short-term rental class that you should take. That's fine. It's just pick which one you want to do. Are you going to be a flipper? Are you going to be a wholesaler? Those are not what I'm getting into right now, but those are different strategies, and your strategy should dictate everything. We'll put all the other dominoes in place there. So first, if you know your strategy, then you know not to look at everything else because your friends are going to tell you they're doing great in short-term rentals. And you're like, that's great. Good for you. That is your buy box. Mine is long-term rentals or whatever it may be. Price point is going to be huge. That's why I tell you to start with a mortgage broker. That is one of the biggest things that's going to narrow your focus. Why look at properties that you can't afford? What a waste of time. So don't do it. And I wouldn't necessarily look at properties up to the price point that you can afford. Have some wiggle room. So maybe 20% less than what that mortgage quote is or that pre-approval letter. That's probably where I would want to start my search and make that sort of the ceiling of my search. Location is very important, obviously, because everyone knows the phrase location, location, location is how you make money in real estate. However, you can make money in every location. You just have to be an expert. You've got to narrow in that location. Is it between 2 interstates in Shreveport, Louisiana? If so, I've spent, 20 minutes with you. I can tell you what a duplex should sell for now. I can tell you what a 2-bedroom, 1-bath rental should rent for in that area. So I can size up deals quickly. That's my 10,000 foot view. And I've narrowed in on that location. And I might do that homework and say, I need a little bit more information or I don't like this location, right? Now I know that I could afford 2 properties there, maybe 1 if my budget's $130,000 if I'm getting that duplex. I know what amount of money that one property to fix up would cost. Like I've learned all these things very, very quickly, and you can apply this to different areas and zip codes. So really try to narrow in that location. I like to narrow in on a zip code first. That should be the biggest net that I'm casting. And then within that zip code, narrow it down to maybe a high school. I'm not saying pick the good schools, but at least you can have everything within that high school district because that usually serves a wider community and it narrows down a zip code. Or you can do a map like I did between the interstates, or maybe, hey, I want a walking distance to a subway stop or a bus stop. All those things are great. You just need to figure out a buy box so that you're only looking things within that location's buy box that you've determined for yourself. Property class is very important. Property class is a spectrum. And what I mean by that, and everyone wants to make the most money, right? But here's the thing. Property classes, there's no solid definition, but it's typically graded A, B, C, or D. A is your new luxury buildings and new construction, the primo neighborhoods and areas. That's an A-class property. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum is the D class properties. And that is typically people refer to them as war zones. They have a lot of crime. Maybe there's a lot of vacancy. Maybe there's a lot of vandalism, right? So it's a spectrum. Now it's going to be more money, more headaches. So you're actually going to always make more money in those D class neighborhoods because the properties are so much cheaper because they're harder to sell, they're harder to finance, they're harder to manage. But because of all that extra headache, you make more money. That's just how it's always going to work. And when you go into A class properties, there's not as much money. There might not be any cash flow, but it's very easy and it's very liquid. You can sell it at any time. You could probably rent it, but you're paying such a premium. It's hard for the rent to cover that extra premium that you're paying for. So you're not making a whole lot of money each month, but it's very, very easy. So that is what I mean by property class. Again, there's no wrong answer. It's just sort of your comfort level and maybe sort of in between. B or C is probably where I would recommend a newbie start so that you have a balance of the headaches and it's a little bit easier. You feel safe going to it. And majority of properties out there are in the B to C grade. And, stay away from the extremes maybe when you're starting out, but we'll get into that. Maybe an opportunity falls into your lap and you start in A-class properties because you found a niche that makes a lot of money. Next thing I want to talk about is property type. What this is are you looking for single family homes, mobile homes, multifamily homes, duplexes only, triplexes? This is very, very important to narrow and become an expert in something quickly. I usually prefer multifamily, and that doesn't exist in all price points, or in all cities, in all buy boxes. But I like multifamilies because if there is a vacancy, it doesn't hurt as much because half the unit is probably rented when the other one's vacant. I reduce my expenses. I only have one landscaping bill instead of two. If I would have bought two single family homes, I would prefer, if the option is there, to buy multifamily. I'm not saying only buy multifamily, but that is the reasons why. It scales down your expenses, it lowers your risk, and it's great way to just sort of grow your portfolio quickly. And they usually cost about the same price as a single family in the area, and many times. Now, single family, this is what majority of new investors buy. And this is where I started. I bought a bunch of single families. And what I would like to tell you is also create a buy box within single family. Single family is too broad. I want you to say, I want to look in just single families that are 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. I have one investor who says that's all he buys because he only wants to fix 1 bathroom because bathrooms are always his biggest problem where he is. And then if you have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, just look at 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's where I would start. Is if you're going to go with single family, try to even narrow it a little bit more based on bedrooms and bathrooms. And if that is not the criteria you want to do it, at least square footage. I wouldn't compare a 1,000 square foot house with a 4,000 square foot house. So really kind of narrow it down to maybe, it's probably going to be determined already by your location, your property class, and your budget on sort of what type of single families you're looking at. But I really think it's important when you're starting out to even narrow it more, just so you're not looking at noise. Now, this is the fun part. I call this treasure hunting. And what I mean by that is I've got my narrow buy box defined, and I'm only, looking at these properties. I've told my real estate agent to send me alerts that fit this, criteria. I've created my own alerts in Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin, and it's, maybe all of them. And so that I'm only looking at the same thing over and over and over again so that I can build that comfort level. When I start looking at properties, then this is where it kind of gets fun for me. I want to look for options. Options are where you always make money because if things go sideways or south, I want to be able to pivot and pivot again and pivot again. So let me talk you through some options and what I mean by that. All right, so here's a listing near me. I'm in Atlanta. I've bought in this neighborhood before. I have a bunch of clients that invest here. So I'm always looking at this neighborhood either for myself or for my clients. And I just like to look at every single listing. And if I am unfamiliar with it, I just want to walk you through how I look at properties when I drive through a neighborhood. But you can also do this on Google Maps too. So this property is a 3-2 in Decatur, Georgia. And first thing I like to do is look at the address on Google Maps. And so here we are. It's an area I'm familiar with. And what I want to do is walk the little yellow guy down the road. Call this cruising for opportunities. This is the treasure hunt. First thing I see, and this is very familiar to me in Atlanta, probably parts of your town. This house looks like this house, looks like this house, looks like this house, right? These things were all built at the exact same time by the same developer. And that was the product back in the 50s and 60s when these were built. But when I'm treasure hunting, this is the opportunity that I'm looking for. Okay, so this one doesn't seem like it's had too many updates. It's in pretty good condition, right? But I want to see what the neighbors have and what it's looking like up and down the street. Like I see this dumpster here that tells me there's some renovation going on, which is pretty good. You always like to see that. Okay, so this house has a carport. So I don't know if that's an original carport or someone added it in later, but that's fine. Someone added a carport to their house. Ooh, I love this. So look at, they're building an extension off the back. We all have the same properties on this street, but people are spending money. People are spending money over here. They're adding square footage. I love that because now I have options. This is telling me that this neighborhood supports more square footage and bigger and higher priced homes and carports and things. So that is a huge thing that I love seeing. Oh, this one has been renovated. Obviously a brand new modernization of the mailbox here. It's got a cool little look. It's the exact same house, but it's been freshened up. A little stucco or painted brick here, new roof. People are putting money in this neighborhood, and I love that, right? You don't want to have the most expensive neighborhood. And then this is the big treasure for me. Look, here's this one, exact same house. And not only when you see these different materials here, this used to be a cardboard, right? I can tell because it's siding. Like, why would they not have done brick, right? Oh, this used to be either a front porch or a carport that they filled in to add square footage. And what we saw over here was that, you can't see it now, but there's a second story added on as well. Money. This is treasure hunting. I love this neighborhood. Here's one right here. Obviously, some money's been put in. Exact same house product, but this is proving that fixing it up, freshening it up, adding more square footage is what is happening in this neighborhood. And I'm at the bottom of the curve with this property that's untouched. And here we go. This one looks like it is or deluxe one. Now the product type is different here, which tells me that either the houses that were there were torn down and a new product was built. But obviously this is more square footage. And I like this. I like seeing the progress that, is in this neighborhood. And here's another extension off the back that I see. So that tells me this neighborhood can give me opportunities if I ever want to. I want to buy this house now because look at this one added a nice porch. It's got a nice extension in the back. It's got something back here. I have options to add square footage. I don't need to do that day one, but it tells me that this is a neighborhood that's growing, that the income levels of the neighbors are higher, and that there's opportunity here one day for me to make money because other neighbors are putting money into their homes and they're being sold, they're being rented, or it could just be primary owners living there. And this is what I look for when I'm treasure hunting and looking for opportunities. Now, if I came in and I was the biggest house on the street and I had the extension already, and I look around and no one else has done that yet, or I'm the only one that's done it yet, or no one's done anything bigger than me, I feel like I've lost a lot of my options. I don't get as excited about the property. Again, it doesn't mean I'm going to add square footage to it. I may never, but just I know that I have that option. And I know that my neighbors appreciate that often. I know that when the neighbors sell, those comps are going to push my property value up. And I always have that option in the future. Oh, my house is too small. Now I can add square footage rather than it's just going to sit vacant, right? I want you to have those treasure making opportunities. And that's what I look for in a property. And when I have my narrow buy box, it helps narrow that down so that I am staying focused. I'm looking at what else is happening in the neighborhood. Sure, some of those are 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, and I'm looking at 2 bedrooms. That's fine. At least I know the neighborhood supports 3 and 4 bedrooms, and I can get there and I can match there if I want to. So let's look at some other treasure hunting opportunities. So other one would I call opportunity. And a lot of times it's, hey, I'm looking at 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in Decatur, Georgia, but my grandma called me and I can buy 2 houses on her block. And that's what I call opportunity. People are reaching out to you, giving you organic leads, and they know you're a real estate investor. You've been talking about real estate. Hey, I'm taking this House Money Media real estate course. I'm going to buy a property in 90 days. When you start talking and saying these things and sharing these things, opportunities come to you. So again, you can either take these opportunities and let it distract you, or you can size them up real quickly and say, yes, there's money being made here. These are good deals, or pass them on to someone else. But a lot of times your niche will be dictated to you. I inherited this property, right? And now I don't know what to do with it. Or I've got a family friend who will just sell this to me for very, very cheap. They want to get rid of it. Well, if you want to take it on and take that opportunity, then what I recommend is reevaluating your buy box and making that opportunity your new buy box, because you have a great opportunity. You're going to kick off there. And whether it's in a zip code that you're not familiar with, do the same exercise and become familiar with it, so you know whether it's a good deal, and then you become the expert. And this opportunity may start off a path for you that you weren't originally looking at, and it's okay to pivot and change your buy box. Just don't always look at every opportunity so you're distracted over and over again. It's only for that opportunity treasure hunting where it almost seems too good to be true, or just fell in your lap. You know about it. You're the only one that knows about it, and it's off market. Sure, that's a great way to treasure hunt. And that is when the one time I would say pivot outside your buy box and create a new buy box. But if you've already bought 1 or 2 properties in your buy box, I wouldn't let that new opportunity distract you, because that's going to become noise. I want you to keep your expertise within your first 4 properties, because it's really, really going to help you scale and be better at investing and be better at what you do. Next one is your niche. And that leads in very nicely to the opportunity and creating your niche. Your niche is the most important thing that when it comes to real estate investing, because you're going to size up deals quickly. You're going to create a brand, a personal brand for yourself. I bought 3 duplexes in one year, and all the real estate agents, without me knowing, is like, Alan is a duplex buyer. And I wasn't just looking at duplexes. But what happened is every single real estate agent, whenever they had a listing, they're like, call Alan first. He'll probably buy it. Call Alan. And all of a sudden, every duplex coming down, I knew about it first, because that became my brand. Same thing happened when I started building new construction. I started buying some tear downs and knocked them down and would put new constructions up. And then whenever anyone had a tear down, they would call me first. And I love that. This is organic, inbound leads. And I want that for you. And it only starts if you have your niche, because if I'm that buyer who buys everything, you don't really get those calls. But if you're like, I know the person who buys in that school district or in that zip code and has this budget. Oh, so-and-so is always talking about that on social media, or I've sold 2 properties to this person. They will want this. This is their, expertise. This is their niche. And you want that brand for yourself, build that brand for yourself. And that only comes from creating that niche for yourself. So now that you got your buy box and you got your location, you got your area, this is what you got to do next to get even more familiar. Let people know your personal brand, let people know what you're looking for. All you got to do is Google that town and real estate investors. So I did that for Shreveport. Let me show you. So I just searched Shreveport real estate investors. All right. And I clicked on these first 5 links. I don't know where they're going to lead to, but let's have a look and see what I would do if this is the town I'm considering investing in. Great. The Shreveport Real Estate Investors Association. Let's get on their calendar, their monthly events. I bet you there's Zoom calls. There's probably an email list, public links. This is great. These are my people. And I'm going to learn all the pros and cons about real estate investing in this town. This is what this organization's for. Real estate investors, I don't know what Connected Investors are, but real estate investors in Shreveport. Oh, there's 2,000. Wow. These are the 2,500 people that you're going to want to meet right away. And it looks like everyone's just introducing themselves. Hey, and this is where I would post your buy box. Hey, I'm a new investor looking in Shreveport. I'm looking for long-term rental, which is my strategy, in this location that you figured out. My price point. You can even ask questions. Do you guys recommend this? Anything I should avoid? Do you guys have anything coming to market? These are the people you want to network, right? These are the people nerding out on real estate in the area you want to nerd out on. Like, why would you not want to match that? And so go after it. And let's see, another website, Leeson Real Estate Investment Firm. I would at least contact them. They're probably trying to sell you something that's turnkey. There's not a whole lot of money in that. They're the middleman that's taking all the money, but it doesn't hurt to reach out and say, hey, do you know of any online forums I should join? Is there any places I should go to talk to other real estate investors? Like, they're in the business. They're going to know where to point you. And Facebook is always great. Like, I found the Shreveport Real Estate Investor Association. Oh, that's the same company, but there's typically multiple real estate investing groups on Facebook. Just type in the city name and real estate and join the realtors group, join the property managers group, join the investors group, join the neighborhood groups, because there's definitely going to be neighborhood groups. Next door is another option. This one posted 2 years ago. Is this a good place to buy? I'm currently searching for homes. Let's see. This person says, shoot me a DM. So I promise you, investors always want to talk. There are broad generalizations as good and bad areas. What would challenge you a particular strategy? Get matched. Okay, so I invested in Baton Rouge. Look at this. This guy just posted something. He's got a bunch of people saying, yeah, let's talk. I invest there. And no one wants anything from everyone. They're just trying to help and share their knowledge. This is how investors are. They're good people, and they want to help you. So I just want to reiterate in this class, your focus needs to be crystal clear, your buy box. Then you take that crystal clear buy box and you start only looking at properties that fit that. And then you join and mention and reach out to people who also invest in that same area. Share your buy box. They're not going to scoop deals from you. They're going to share them with you. Investors are always selling properties, or they're going to say, that's not my buy box, but this is yours. You got to start building that brand within that community, within that town, and the deals are going to start coming in. So that's today's homework now, is finalize that buy box. I'll have a spreadsheet in here for you to fill out. And I want you, if you're up for it, not everyone's going to do it, but if you feel comfortable that you've narrowed down your buy box, if you can, go introduce yourself on social media. If you can find some realtors in that area, some mortgage lenders in that area, go post in some Facebook groups or next door and just get the conversations going. And it'll be great to just make those initial connections. So try to do that, post at least 3 or 4 different locations, and you may learn a lot. It could be a lot of investors saying, this is a dead area. And that's great. Like, learning anything is fine. But I promise you, there's going to be money to be made everywhere. And people are typically excited that you're investing in their community and want to make it better and provide good homes. And I've seen nothing but good advice and good recommendations. There's never been a case where someone's like, don't buy that because they're greedy and they want all the deals for themselves. I just haven't seen that happen. And hopefully you don't start that trend. But generally, everyone's out there to be good and help you. So narrow that buy box so that we can keep you on track to buy real estate in less than 90 days. Let's get it.